Hello, good morning, guys. I can see that one of the participants has already given the answer, I think. Let me just go through your comments. This is the very first question, and we'll move to the next question then. Uh, Good morning, Pinky. So, we have Abu Zaid who said 120 minus 60. Okay. Pinky has given the correct answer. Pinky, I want to ask if you doing what is it ILD NCRT is worth it? It has more detail than method, but it's too long. Okay, what you are doing, Pinky? Pinky, actually, I didn't get your comment. Alright, guys, we do have this first comment. One of the user has already. Yes, 2005 is way more like old, I would say, because the NCRT has upgraded so many of the things. This syllabus has reduced to like extent such an extent. 2005 would be an extensive one. If you can do the entire book, then it is good for you, or else you can buy a new one. It's worth it, totally worth it, because it has more content than the ninth graders books or 10th grader books are having right now. We have Chandan who said 60°. All right. Already two of the participants has given the correct answer. I'm not going to explain this one because this was just for a warm-up session, right? So we'll go for the next question directly. The answer is 60, which is pretty much obvious. There are multiple approaches to this. Yes, 60, 60. Richard has given the answer 60, 60. Let's just move to the next question then, guys. Let's see how many of you are going to be able to solve that. Give me a minute. Let's say this one. At 6p high. Here in this problem, we need to solve for the value of x. I am waiting for the participants to give the correct answer for this along with the correct explanation. Once any one of you is going to give the correct answer along with the correct explanation, then I'll explain. Alright, we have 75. Is it for this question? Like they are answering for this question, like x degree? We have two users who has given the answer as 75. One has given the answer as 90. Nirmal has given the answer as 90. DAV Spa has given the answer as 75. The poster has given the answer. Guys, whatever the answer you are giving, just try to give the explanation along with that. Atom says 90. All right. DAV Spa is like 65 plus 40. Why? How you are doing 65 plus 40? Ninety 25 is incorrect, guys. I don't know how you are doing that. 90. No, you can't use exterior angle property. Exterior angle property is only applicable if this x plus 40 is going to be equal to this x plus 40 entirely is going to equal to this one, right? You can't use that. 90. All right, all of you has given the correct answer, guys. 90 is the correct answer. I'm going to give the explanation. There are multiple approaches to this problem. As we can see that this point is the center of the triangle, right? Then these two side length are going to be the radius, which means these are going to be equal. And if these two sides are equal, then this must be an isosceles triangle, and this angle is going to be 65 degree also, because base angle of the isosceles triangles are equal. Now we have two of these angles. We can use exterior angle property directly, or I can find this angle also first. Then we can, taking all of these angle together, we can solve for x. But what else we can do? We can use the angle sum property. We know the exterior angle of a triangle, which is x plus 40, is going to be equals to the sum of the two remote interior angles, which is 65 plus 65. Right? So 65 plus 65 is going to be 130, and on solving I am going to get x as 90 degree. Dhyan has given the correct answer. Every one of you has given the correct answer. Let's just move to the next question and let's see how many of you can do this one. I'm waiting for the correct answer along with the correct explanation, guys. Don't just give the answers. This is the next question. Zero. We have one participant who has given the answer as 0. All right. Adam has given the correct answer for the previous one, already explained along with the explanation. Anamika 40. Only one participant has answered like 0, but I'm waiting for the correct explanation along with that. Pinky has said 36%. Okay. What about others? Yes, Abu Zed, I got you. Zed, I got you what you actually did. But I want others to give the explanation. As Pinky has given the answer as 36%. 0.36. Guys, just focus here. We need the answer in percentage, right? So I need this answer number for this question mark. Either you can write the answer, don't give the answer in decimals. 36. Yes, paper boy said 36. 0.4 minus 0.04. 4% atom, it's not correct. Shubham said 36%. 36%. Well done, guys. One of the user has given the answer as 0%. Look, I'll be explaining this one, but let me just wait for a few more participants to give the answer. Then I'll explain. Pinky has given the correct explanation. Pinky, thank you so much for your explanation. Guys who are saying it as 0%, they can just go through the comment given by Pinky. She shared the correct explanation along with the correct answer, so you can check it. Just go through it. Alright guys, I think we had enough of time for this question. This is not that difficult one. We'll move to the next question. Okay, let me just give the explanation for this. This 16% is in the square root. This can be written as 16 upon 100, right? And this 4%, if I'm going to remove the percentage sign, this can be written as 4 upon 100, correct? Now this square root of 16 is going to give, when I'm going to take it out of the square root, this will become 4 by 10. So if you want to take the LCM, you can take the LCM. If you want to rewrite it as in decimal, you can rewrite it in decimal. This will become 0.4 minus 0.04, which on simplification will give you 0.36. Now 0.36 is nothing but 36%. We are aware of it. 36% can be written as 36 upon 100, which will give you 0.36 only, right? So which means this is nothing but 36%. So the value for the question mark is going to be 36. So all of you has already given the correct answer. Yes, Trade Ready has given the correct answer. Thank you guys for your correct answer. Now we'll move to the next question, and let's see how many of you are going to participate in that and how many of you are going to give the correct answer along with the correct explanation. Let's see this one. We do have this question in which we need to solve for the shaded area. We are given with the two concentric circles. We need to calculate the shaded region area, and let's see how many of you can do this. This line segment is of 16th, its length is 16, and it is tangent to the smaller circle. I'm just waiting for the correct answer along with the correct explanation. Let's see how many of you can do this. We need to solve for the shaded region area. There are two nibha. We need to solve for the shaded area. Shaded area निकालना है. Yes, Atom. You are right. Find the area of the shaded region. Guys, one more thing I would like to mention. Just give your answer in terms of pi. You need not to give your answers like in decimals. Just give the exact answer in terms of pi. That would be really appreciated. It's too much work. No, 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 no. This is very easy. It's not too much. It's very easy. That's why I have written, can you solve this in 10 seconds? Because for those who are very much aware of the mathematics and the calculation and the Pythagorean theorem, they will do this without without even handling a pen. They can solve it directly. We have one participant who has given the answer. Shubham said 64 pi. Shubham, could you please share your approach, that how you approach toward this? What is your approach? I don't know. But I still have sleepy eyes. All right, not an issue. I'm going to explain it for sure. Don't worry about that. Sushila is saying like, explain, sir. Capital circle, radius r, small circle, radius small r. Okay. Bean has given the radius is 10. You need not to assume anything at your own, I would say. Just don't assume that it is forming a Pythagorean triplet. So that doesn't mean that the value of the capital radius is going to be 10 and the smaller is going to be 6. Yes? So you just have a relation. You are going to, going to give you the relation only and I'll be using that relation. Don't assume anything that the radius of the bigger circle is 10 or radius of the smaller circle is this. Lovely Johan says 64 pi. Okay. Yes. Shivam, I got your concept. I got your logic. Pinky has given the correct answer. All right. Let me just explain for those who are saying like, let me. Yes, I got you, Bean, but I'm not going to do that. We are not going to solve for capital radius and the smaller radius. Let's see. We are pretty much aware that I had already told you that this line segment is tangent to the smaller circle. And we know if I'm going to draw a line segment on this tangent at a point of contact, then this line segment is going to be perpendicular to it and it will bisect this, right? We know that there is a theorem that the perpendicular drawn from a center on a tangent at a point of contact will bisect the chord, right? This is the chord for the second circle. So this will bisect the tangent. So I'm going to have this much as 8, this much as also 8. Let's say this is small r, right? Representing the radius of the smaller circle. And this one is going to be a capital R, which is going to represent the radius of the bigger circle. Now applying the Pythagorean theorem here, I'll be getting r square is r square plus 8 square, which is going to give me as r square minus r square is equals to 8 square, which will become 64. This is my first expression, that I had r square minus r square as 64. Now in order to solve for the shaded region area, what I need to do, I need to subtract this smaller circle area from the larger circle. So what I'll be doing, I'll be doing pi capital R square minus pi small r square. And if I'll be taking pi as common, this will become r square minus r square only. I have this value already along with me, which is 64. So I'll be substituting it here. So I'll be getting it as 64 pi directly. We need not to solve for the capital R and the small r directly. We need not to give the radius values for the bigger circle or the smaller circle. Right? What if I'm going to give you a number which is not going to form a Pythagorean triplet, then what? What if I'm going to say this is 15? Then how can you assume that it is 10 or 6? I'm not saying like it is not 10 or 6. It is, but we don't need that this time. We just need this expression. We can solve for the area directly. I hope that is pretty much clear to every one of you. The answer is 64 pi, and most of you guys has given the correct answer along with the correct explanation. So shall we move to the next question, guys? Porsche is back. Welcome, Porsche. Let's see how many of you can do this one. This one would be an easy one. We need to solve for the shaded region area here also. We do have a rectangle and these side slots, or I can say slits, are given as of width 2 centimeter. I need the area of the shaded region. Let's see how many of you can do this. $99. Okay. We have one user who has given the answer as 99. Porsche has said 81. All right. Let's wait for others to give the correct answer. Those who said it as 99 or 81, are we to assume that the lines are parallel? Yes, these lines are parallel for sure. They are looking like a parallel and they are parallel. You're talking about these lines, huh? These are parallel for sure. The bigger one is a rectangle, so these side slits are already parallel. However, these side lines are also parallel. "99, 99, 81. Porsche answer is correct, 81. Alright. Only two of the user has given the correct answer, I think. But only one has given the answer with the correct explanation. Lovely has given the answer as 99. 99 is not the correct answer, Lovely. Let's see how we can do this. I'm not going to waste so much of time here on this simple problem. Let's just understand this. We have to figure out the area of this entire rectangle first, which is going to be 13 into 9, length into breadth. So 13 into 9 is going to be 117. Now these side slits are nothing but they are like a parallelogram. Now for parallelogram we do have a formula that base into height. So if I'm going to consider this as base, this 2 centimeter as base, then its height is going to be like this. This is going to be its height, which is nothing but 9 only. So the area is going to be 2 into 9. But as we are having two parallelogram, so we need to multiply the area by 2. So 2 into 9 into 2, which is going to be 9 into 2, 18, 18 into 2, 36. So 117 minus 36 will give you 81. So your answer is 81 centimeters square. I hope that makes sense. So already you guys have given the correct answer. We'll move to the next question then. Let's see how many of you can do this. I have discussed this question yesterday also, and I want you, because many of you has joined today only, and let's see how many of you can do this. We need to solve for the value of x, y, and z. And here we have x, here we have y at intersection, z here, and let's see how many of you can do this. I'm waiting for the correct answer because I have discussed this problem yesterday only. And yes, Porsche, I know that those who has joined yesterday, who were there in the last session also, they are very much aware of this. They need not to answer for this. Let's other think about. Pinky, don't give answer for this because you know the answer. Let them battle, let them struggle, let them think. Those who were present in the last session, they don't need to give the answer. Don't give the answer. Let them think. I want to know what, because they are going to copy the answer from you. Pradeep, don't write. You were there in the last session. Don't write. And just observe how many of them are going to give the correct answer. Z is equal to 126. That's incorrect. Y is 45. Look, Y is 45 reflecting angles, or you trying to say vertical angles, which is incorrect. Anyone else want to give a try? Yes, Pinky, this question was not easy for anyone. I know that. We have Grushenka who says x is equal to 5.4, but I want to know the correct approach along with that. Z is equal to 18, Z is not 18. Lovely says x is equal to... Pradeep, you were there already. Please don't write the answers. I know you know the answer, don't write it. You were there in the last session. X is equal to 5.4, Z is equal to root 126, Y is equal to 45. Lovely Chauhan, Y is incorrect. Pradeep, you need to give the correct explanation along with that then. Or else I'm going to block you. I hope my voice is audible to everyone. And if I'm saying like don't write the answer for those who know the answer. You guys already know the answer because I had given this question yesterday only. No one has been able to solve this problem. Like no one was there to give the correct values for each and every variable. Then why you are answering directly? I don't need the answers. Grushenka and one of the participants has given the answer as x is equal to 5.4. That's okay. What about z? What about y? I'll give you 2 more minutes, then I'll explain. Grushenka said z square, z raised to power 1 by 2? You mean, sorry, 108 point... Pradeep, I'm blocking you for sure right now. You are like pain in my eyes right now. I can't see you here. Where is this Pradeep? Guys, just give me a minute. I'm just figuring out about Pradeep. There are so many of comments actually. Now if he is going to comment, his comment is not going to be visible to anyone. That's it. Guys, if I am telling you guys something and you are not going to obey it, I'm not going to take it. Y is equal to 65. We have one of the users to give the correct answer for Y. Thanks for that. Alright guys, so we had spent enough of the time here. Let's just move to the explanation part. Let's see how many of you are going to understand. For the very first, let's just solve for the value of x. It is pretty simple. If we have a circle and the circle has two intersecting chords, then the length of the segments formed by the intersection, these are the length of the segments, right? the product of the length of the segments are equal, which means if this is x, this is 10, this is 9, and this is 6, then 10 into x, this 10 into x, which is 10x, is going to be equals to 9 into 6, which is 54. So from here, x is going to be 54 upon 10, which will give me 5.4. So x is 5.4. First variable is done. Grushenka said z square is equal to 12 into 9. No, that's incorrect. I'm explaining right now. You guys can go through it. Let's just solve for the y value. Now for y, if I'm going to say the same theorem, I have discussed this before also. If there is a circle and it has two intersecting chords, the angle formed at intersection, this is the angle formed at intersection, here it is y. The angle formed at intersection is half of the sum of the intercepted arcs. Is half of the sum of the intercepted arc. Here the intercepted arc by the chord are, these are the intercepted arc, which is 85 and 45. So y is going to be half of 85 and 45. Half of the sum of the 85 and 45. 85 plus 45 is going to be 130, and half of 130 is going to be 65. Okay, I'll explain for x. I hope the y value is clear to you. Y value is clear to everyone? Just type yes or no. For those who were saying like y is equal to 45 or 85, it's not going to be 45 or 85 because the intersecting chords are not passing through the center of the circle. So we can't use vertical angle theorem, or we can say reflecting angle, whatever you guys were saying. Here we are going to use this theorem, which is intercepted arc theorems. Are we clear with value of y? I'll explain x again. Yes. Y is going to be the sum of the intercepted arc divided by 2. Let's just solve for x, as he mentioned that he hasn't got that. For intersecting chord, the product of the length of the segments, the product of the length of the segment, here the segments are x into 10, this, which is going to be 10x, is equal to 9 into 6. So 9 into 6 is going to be 54. So x is going to be 54 by 10, which will give me x as 5.4. Is that clear? Shall we move to z now? We have solved for x, we'll solve for y. Yes. We can't add them because they are not passing through the center. They are not going to be equal because they are not the diameters. We can't equate them. Z is 11.2. Okay, let's see. 11.2 is good. 22 is the right answer, maybe, because you are writing it in decimals. Let's see how many of you are going to give the correct answer. For Z, I hope 1 or 2 users has given the correct answer. Okay, now let's solve for the Z. For Z, we do have another theorem which says if we have a circle and from the same external point, like we have here, this is the external point, if we draw a tangent on a circle, which is here, it is Z, right? So this is Z. If we draw a tangent on a circle, along with that we draw a secant also. This is a secant. So the secant line is this line is secant, this is tangent. Then what that theorem says, that is tangent secant theorem, it says that the square of the length of the tangent, which is z square of the length of the tangent, is equal to the product of the length of the secant product of the length of the secant. Length of the secant is going to be this entire length, which is going to be 9 plus 6 plus 6. 9 plus 6 plus 6 is 21. Product of the length of the secant with its external segment. With its external segment means 6. External segment means the segment which is lying outside the circle. Length of the segment of the secant which is lying outside the circle is known as external segment of the secant, which is 6 here. So this is going to be 25 into 6. I'm repeating, the square of the length of the tangent, which is z square, is equal to the length of the secant, which is 9 plus 6 plus 6, into its external segment, which is 6. So z square is going to be, z square is equal to 21 into 6, which is 126. So z is going to be root of 126, which on simplification can be written as 3 root 14, or in decimals it's going to be 11.2. 21 by 6, 126, not 21 by 6. Ayush, I like how I'm learning all this right now in school. Being okay. Alright guys, so this was it for X, Y and Z. I hope you guys have understood this. I'll be discussing these questions again and again. After 2-3 days I'm going to bring such questions again, so that we keep on practicing these kind of questions, so these theorem will get fed into your mind. Ayush, 5.6 is also incorrect. Yes, Pinky has mentioned already. Alright guys, let's just move to the next question. Let me just check the timer. Okay, it has been more than 40 minutes right now. We'll have one more question then. Well, let's see how many of you can answer that. Give me a minute. Let's have this one. This is an easy one. This is going to be easy one for you guys, so do it correctly. We need to solve for the shaded region area. Alright, we have Rohit 18, Ayush 18, Lovely said 18. Alright, Porsche has given the correct explanation, that's commendable. Ayush, don't tell me that if you have given the answer, it's not going to be the next question then. That doesn't mean that we are going to shift for the next question. There is some set of rules that we are going to follow. Don't spam the comment section or else you can leave the stream. We are done with the question. Then I'm going to explain. More than 300 people are watching here. Only 4 to 5 people are going to give the answers. Then that doesn't mean that the question is done. I'm so pissed off with these kind of comments every day. Shubham has said diagonal of the square is 6. Yes, which is same as the radius. Alright. So I'm going to explain it for those because already most of the people has already given the correct answer. So let's see. This is given as the radius of the quarter circle, right? This is going to be same. This is also going to be 6. This is nothing but the radius of the quarter circle, but the diagonal for the square. Now we do have a formula for the diagonal, which is root 2 side. So root 2 side of the diagonal is 6 here. If I'm going to square both sides, this is going to be 6 square 36, and this root 2 will become 2 side square. So from here I'll be getting side square as 36 by 2, which will give you 18. Now side square is nothing but side square is representing the area of the square, right? So we need not to calculate the side from this formula, and by squaring both sides you are going to get the answer directly. So side square is 18, which means area is 18. Is that clear, guys? Yes, Rachel, you are right. We can solve it directly. Okay, I'm going to give you one more question. Let's see how many of you can do that. Let's solve this one. We're given with this cycle. We need to solve for the values of x, y, and w here. Let's see how many of you can do this. And for those who know the answer, like for my previous participants, we did this before also. I don't want them to spam the comment section. They need not to give the answer. Let's just other way give their approach and answer, and then we'll move to the next question. Yes, Pinky, we discussed this. Okay, Pinky saying let's go a day without a crown. Pinky, you don't need a crown already. You are already having a crown. Like you are my regular participant. I just love that. And few of my participants who keep on like joining every day, I know their name personally. I know in which grade they are. X is equal to 85. Okay. We have Rachel. Rachel said x is equal to 85. However, 85 is incorrect. Look, a very confident person that we had who has asked for the next question, he has given the correct answer, like W is 35, which is completely incorrect. X is 5, which is again completely incorrect. Y is also 5, that is also incorrect. We have Rao said X is equal to 95, Y is equal to 45, W is equal to 40. I need the correct explanation along with that then. Pinky, now you can share your explanation. That's why, Pinky, can you see that? Can you see those comments now? That's why I said, like, don't write before, because you guys already know about this question. X is equal to 95, Y is equal to 85. Oh, and W is equal to 40. Yes. All right. So I'm going to give the explanation. Like one of the participant has said, Rachel has said, like, he is not good at geometry. I will be explaining that. All right. Let's see. As we know, this one is a cyclic quadrilateral. Let me just highlight one of the cyclic quadrilateral. There are multiple cyclic quadrilaterals here. So let's say ABCD is a cyclic quadrilateral. So this X is directly going to be 95. We know because 95 is an exterior angle of this cyclic quadrilateral, and exterior angle of a cyclic quadrilateral is equal to the interior angle formed by the alternate segments of the cyclic quadrilateral. So this 95 is going to be the opposite interior angle, which is X. So X is directly going to be equals to 95. This one is the first, right? Let's solve for the Y then. Y or Z. Let's solve for W first. If I'm going to have this one, this quadrilateral, this W and this 140 are the opposite angles of the cyclic quadrilateral, and we know that the opposite angles of the cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. So the W plus 140 is going to be equal to 180. So W is going to be 40 degree. That's it for W. Now let's just solve for the value of Y. Now if I'm going to carefully look at the diagram, on this segment CD, we do have this angle, which is Y. And similarly, here also, this particular angle is also on the same segment, and we know the angle on the same segment are equal. So if this is Y, this is also going to be Y. Now if I'm going to see here, if I'm going to apply this set of angle are nothing but forming a straight angle. So W plus Y plus 95, W plus Y plus 95 will equals to 180. You already have the value of W, right? We already have the value of the W. You can solve for the value of Y directly. So that's how you are going to approach for this question. Y is going to be 45. So let's just move to the next question and the last question. Give me a minute. Yes, Porsche, I can see that there are multiple approaches to this problem. We have Upnitesh has said X is equal to 95. Okay, most of the people has given the correct answers. Okay, this one is the last question, and I'm not going to give any explanation for this because that's not going to be possible here if I'm going to redraw the entire thing. This is for you guys to brush up your mind and see how many of you can do this. Lovely said 3. 25 is a diagonal or a hypotenuse. A quarter circle don't have diagonal first of all. It's surely going to be hypotenuse. Around who are given the answer as 3 or 15, whatever the answer you are giving, just try to give the correct answer along with your correct approach. Because I'm not going to give the explanation for this one. I'll be just explaining a bit. I'm going to speak, but I'm not going to redraw. Complete the semicircle and construction, then I'll be. Okay. Playing with Science has given the correct answer along with the correct approach. You guys can go through his comment and figure it out. And I'll wait for a few more minutes. Playing with Science, Bhaiya, please one calculus question. Um, that I don't think that's gonna be possible here, because if I'm going to give the calculus question, no one is. I don't think my participants are going to solve for that. Hardly they are solving for the geometrical problem or algebraical expression. Could you just let me know that in which grade or college stream, what is your stream, what you are doing currently? I'll try to bring at least one then, because explaining the calculus problem in a vertical format is not going to be easy for me also. If I'm going to explain it all, it needs a wider screen to give a correct explanation and a view. You are in grade 10th, then you are you preparing for JE? Rashul can do calculus question, okay. Alright, I'll try to bring calculus and I hope integration and differentiation, then we'll bring those questions also. Is there anyone else who is preparing for any kind of exams or Alright guys, so okay, like calculating half-life, alright. But that's the problem now. That thing is, for geometrical problem, we need not to give that much of hefty statement or to the audience. It just need a diagram, and the diagram gives you everything. It's there in chemistry, it's there in mathematics, both way. Porsche is correct. So for these, like for integration, for differentiation, for calculus, the main problem is like we need a hefty statement, and that requires a good amount of screen and a wider view. And I'm not going to have a horizontal view of live sessions. Yes, we can do sine law, cosine law, sine law. Okay, I got you. I got your point. So, guys, for this question, let's just come back to this question. The value of x, I think most two or three participants has given the correct answer already. The thing is, I'll like just give you a bit of explanation because screen is my limitation here. Just redraw this. If possible, you can redraw it as a semicircle. It's not going to be full-fledged visible here. Extend this line segment. First solve for this. This is going to be 25, right? So now if this is 25, these two triangles which are going to get formed here, these are going to be congruent. So if these are congruent, this is 25, this is also going to be 25. Now keeping this in mind, if this entire length is going to be 25, this is going to be 25 plus 7 is 32. So we have 32, we have this side 24, this is also a right angle triangle. Again we can use the Pythagorean theorem and solve for this. This is nothing but the diameter of the semicircle. So once we are going to solve that, we are going to get it as 40, I think, right? So if it is going to be 40, this much portion is going to be 20. This we have already solved, which is nothing but 25. Now take this triangle and solve for x. Once you can solve for the value of x, so you will be getting, I think, using the Pythagorean theorem, you will be getting it as 15 only. I just gave the explanation. I hope that is pretty much clear to every one of you, because I can't make the entire diagram. Screen is my limitation, so that's why. I hope you guys got that, because I don't think that you guys need the entire detailed explanation. You just need a hint. Welcome being, Rachel said. Area of sector was not given. Sony, welcome. So I hope with your comments I can see that you guys got this concept, and this was the last question for today's session. It has been more than 1 hour already, so I'll hope to see you in the next one. Till then, take care, bye bye, and have a good day. Bye, Pinky. Alright guys, have a great day. Bye.